Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar. Today, we will discuss about the role of big data in bioinformatics and its applications. We will also talk about various job opportunities and the resources to learn and practice the skill sets that are required for the same. My name is Sonalika Ray, and I'm the Omics Logic Community Manager. I'm responsible for daily interaction with thousands of users that are a part of our bioinformatics community, which is managed by Pine Biotech. So before we start with the talk, I would like to introduce us. We are a US-based bioinformatics company who is working with multiple academic and commercial collaborators to develop easy-to-use analytical tools, and our mission is to make bioinformatics more accessible. Omics Logic research-based training programs are a result of close collaboration between Pine Biotech and numerous academic institutions that have participated in content evaluation, curriculum review, and project design. Omics Logic is an international program that is running in 5 different regions with over 10,000 users around the world. And due to this fast growth, our team is working with local and regional coordinators that are helping refine local program logistics and leverage our online training resources, adapting them to the needs of students and researchers around the world. Omics Logic programs follow a project-based learning approach using research-grade tools to analyze data from top peer-reviewed journals. Omics Logic has been completed by participants from 162 countries in over 300 workshops for 6 different specialization tracks, being oncology, infectious diseases, precision medicine, neuroscience, data science for biomedical data, and comprehensive training on omics data analysis. I'm honored to have been working with the team that collectively has an amazing experience in this area, including the other co-founders of the company, Dr. Alfred Tauber, who comes from a medical background with an expertise in oncology, immunology, and biochemistry of inflammation. And one of his major projects is the establishment of the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center, which has been at the core of what we do. Dr. Leonid Brodsky is the director of Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center and is an expert in bioinformatics and biostatistics. Our platform is a result of hard work by some of the people mentioned here on the right. Julia Panner, who is an expert bioinformatician and helps prepare many of the material that we would use. Avi Titovsky is a computer scientist and leads the development of the T-Bioinfo platform that we would talk about today. Dr. Harpreet Kaur has an expertise in the application of statistical machine learning techniques on biomedical data and the development of prediction tools and databases as well. She looks after the curriculum development, bioinformatics, and data science course development for the company. Dr. Mohit Mazumdar is an experienced bioinformatician with multiple publications in peer-reviewed journals and collaborations in industry and academia. Over the past several years, he has been developing collaboration with universities as a mentor and project lead for Omics Logic training and research fellowship. So today, to begin this session, let me quickly guide you through the Omics Logic Learn courses, projects, and give an overview of the tools and resources that are available. I would also take you through the communication portals and guide you through. So once you are signed up on the learn.omicslogic portal, we would begin further. So now with me, I would request you all to please go to the Omics Logic Learn portal. Let me just share the link with you all in the chat box. Thank you, Navya, for sharing the link. I would give you all a minute or two to sign up on the portal. That is what is required for today, as we would be discussing the part further in today's webinar. And once you are logged in, please tell us by sending a 1 or maybe yes in the chat box. And also it would be great if you could let us know if you are signed up via your laptop or your phone. The sign up on the portal is free. So once you are signed up, please let us know by sending a one or maybe yes in the chat box so that we can proceed further. And those who have completed their sign up, it would be great if they could also have an updated profile. Now, when I say updated profile, I mean that you should have an updated profile picture, have your name spelled correctly, and also connect your social accounts here on your profile itself. We monitor your progress via your profile on the portal. So whatever courses you are taking or whatever projects you are going through or the programs, and also we can see how much you have completed the courses up to what extent, and also you would be able to download your certificate once you complete a course on the portal under the profile section itself. I would be awaiting responses in the chat box for your sign up. Thank you, Sukhveer Kaur. It would be really nice if I could get the responses in the chat box. And those who have completed the sign up, they can then further go ahead with the completion of their profile. And now I would like to talk about the various courses that are present on the Omics Logic Learn portal. Dr. Mohit would be taking these courses in greater detail of discussion. I'll just give an overview of what all courses we have and how you have to navigate through the portal and get an understanding of different sorts of domains and also get a hands-on practice. So under the courses tab on the Omics Logic Learn portal, you would be able to find various courses, projects in various domains of omics, that is genomics, transcriptomics, or metagenomics. So to begin with, the first step is that you start with the first course, that is bytes and molecules. Now, this course has been designed to give an introductory explanation of the various domains that the Omics Logic offers and get an understanding of these various domains to begin with and go ahead with further specialization. So in the bytes and the molecules course, you will be able to get an understanding of genomics or transcriptomics, sequential and structural biology, and also these days, as you all know, data science and R and Python, they are actually they have bloomed a lot. So to get an understanding of how you could begin with R or Python, you could get those lessons here in the bytes and molecules as well. And then we have various lessons on bioinformatics and precision medicine, where you would be able to understand the role of the role of bioinformatics in precision medicine, and how using this technique we could improvise more and then go ahead. And once you have completed this introductory lesson, then you would be able to carry out the specialization track and get an understanding by going through the various lessons that we provide, and also practice more and more on the server and learn how to analyze or interpret the results. And then we have an exciting field that we are going to launch soon, that is space omics. And also we have a webinar on space omics recently that we would discuss about. So you can get an insight of what is the role of biology in space, like what is the role of omics study basically in space and what is its relevance, and then how you can learn more about it. So this is a very introductory course that you can begin with. And then I got to know that there are many students from your college who are not from bioinformatics, but biotechnology or microbiology. But you see, bioinformatics has its wings spread in all the different sorts of domains right now. And it becomes important for every biologist to actually know some basics of bioinformatics, so that they can begin their research in bioinformatics and use its application for fast research, I would say. So there is another course that is an Introduction to Bioinformatics, where we have just given some insights of what is bioinformatics, what the role of bioinformatics is in healthcare, and what is translational bioinformatics. So to begin with an understanding of bioinformatics, we would recommend that you go along this particular course, get an understanding of bioinformatics, and then you can go ahead with taking the specialized courses which are there on genomics or transcriptomics or metagenomics, and then also begin with various courses on R and Python. As I asked you to sign up today on the portal, we will also take you through the various R and Python consoles which we have inbuilt on the portal, which we call the code playground, and then make you practice few of the things very easily, which you can access and go along on the portal itself. Then we have another field that is the programs. So we have online mentor guided programs ongoing in different sorts of fields, which are specialized programs. So once you have completed your introductory lessons, then you could definitely move ahead with the specialization tracks that we would be shortly discussing. And then the third part that we have is the research internship or the research fellowship, which Dr. Mohit would talk more in greater detail. So now I would like to invite Dr. Mohit to talk about the programs and the courses in greater detail. And yes, discuss what the role of bioinformatics is right now and how it has changed the whole course of research. So over to you, Dr. Mohit.
Thank you, Sonalika, for this overview, and hello, everyone. So before I start discussing about all of that, do we have the plan to start the poll now, Sonalika?
Yes, sir. We can have the poll launched as well.
Great. So let me launch a poll for all of you, and I also read this out. So it's a poll that will come up to all on your screens, and here you will find questions such as, what is your current level of education? So are you doing an undergraduate course, or are you doing a postgraduate course, or are you doing a PhD? So can you guys see the poll on the screen? Let me know if you can't see it in the chat, or if you can see it in the chat, you can say yes. All right, thank you. I think I got the first, a lot of answers are coming in for the second question as well, which is asking about your department, which will let us understand more in depth that how you can benefit from the technologies, the advancements in technologies that are coming up in today's world. So I see that we have 12 participants who have completed the poll. Thank you so much. We'll be running the poll for a few more minutes so that all of you can participate. And the third question is, what are your research interests? So if you're interested in specific areas of research, such as neuroscience, oncology, infectious diseases, studying viruses, or studying cancers, or studying neurodegenerative diseases, such as all the diseases that are related to our brain, or you would like to learn about precision medicine, the future of medicine, or machine learning, or bioinformatics using coding, such as R and Python, or you're interested in data science, or you want to start with basic bioinformatics training first. So all these questions you can answer. So let me share my screen for you to discuss more. So today we are also pleasured to have Dr. Harpreet Kaur amongst us and Dr. Renuka Sharma. Thank you, Dr. Harpreet and Dr. Sharma, for being here. So today what we wanted to talk and discuss to you all about is related to what we do. So in this meeting, we wanted to discuss the understanding of this fascinating domain of mainstream and interdisciplinary sciences. So as Sonalika said, it is just not bioinformatics is for people who are doing bioinformatics or studying only bioinformatics, but it is for everyone who wants to learn, what is the upcoming things that are coming to, that is going to give you opportunities. What are the upcoming things that will be the future. So those are the things that we would wanted to discuss. So the future of biomedical discovery, the future of research and biotechnology, I think it is in the hands of the new generation of the students that who will start their career in this age of data and machine learning, right? So all of you are those people who would wanted to start this journey, who are starting this journey perhaps, and it's a great time to actually start. So congratulations on that. And my goal for this is to help you adapt to data-driven research strategies and develop analytical thinking, which makes sure that you are engaged in real science that can acquire those transferable skills that will help advance in your capabilities, in your career, in your future. So those are the things that I wanted to discuss with you all today. So welcome again to this webinar, and all those who are joining right now, you can find a poll on your screen and it will help us understand how much the different areas that your research that you're interested in. So Sonalika, please, towards the end of my session, kindly discuss the results of the poll. And we also have our team members Navya and Ojasvi here. So any of you asking for any help, asking for any questions, if you have anything like that, put it in the chat. We are all here to help you out. So feel free. And it's an interactive session. So I'm here. So please also, you can ask your questions if you have any. So let me start. Yeah, great. So let me start with this, that this is a collaborative webinar that we have collaboratively doing between Chandigarh Group of Colleges Punjab and Bioinformatics US. The purpose of this webinar, and I'll request everyone to kindly keep their microphones muted so that when you have a question, you can put it in the chat and we can discuss this towards the Q&A session so that we can have a good flow. Thank you. All right. So as I was telling you, that this webinar is due to the effort of Dr. Renuka and our team here, so that we can bring this awareness among students and faculty who are interested to work on cutting edge research, which relates to the analysis of big data using bioinformatics tools, and then utilizing the Learnomics logic. So we have prepared a lot of materials over the years to help you out with all the training that you need and help you out with the research interest that you have. So it's sort of a guidance which enables anyone to take this guidance, because it's also available completely online. And then we do this meetings as we are doing right now. So in this process, we learn about several things, which includes from the very basic to develop an understanding of advanced technology, advanced knowledge, and transferable skill sets. But it starts with very basic. It starts with very basic understanding of what DNA is, for example. And as Sonalika showed you all, that we have put together the courses that are available online from the browser and even from your mobile phone that you can take anytime. And that gives you an idea of what these fields are, what is happening in the biomedical industry, what is happening in the pharmaceutical industry as a biologist, what you should do as a human being, how you should be able to understand how we are built and have that sort of understanding to get help in medicine. So I'm really happy that we are all here, and we usually do online sessions where we have participants from all around the world. But today we are having all Indians, specifically from Punjab. And right now we have also team members from Punjab. So it's great to see all of you. So what we today wanted to discuss is a few topics which gives a basic understanding of why this is important, because many of you have joined the first year, maybe you are in the or different years, second year, third year, or post-graduation. So you are at a specific stage where you're learning about the curriculum that has been taught to you. So in addition to the curriculum, there is also some industrial things that are happening, which actually helps many students to get a better opportunity in their career, right? So we as a team in here in Pine Biotech, as you saw in the earlier part of the webinar, and also I would wanted to mention that this webinar is getting recorded, and if you have submitted the form, you will also get the video recording. So if you have missed anything, you'll be able to watch that too. So coming back to the point of having of a basic understanding about these different topics is quite important, because when we are discussing about data-driven research in today's world, when we do even shopping, we look at different websites to choose the right product. So that is kind of a small research that we are doing for making a decision. So data-driven research is very important in making scientific decisions. That's why we should all learn about it. And again, I will request all of you to keep your microphones muted unless we have that Q&A session. And I would also ask the moderators to mute the participants who are not being able to mute themselves. So coming back to the topic of having understanding of these different areas, how it helps. So I'm today going to tell you about a lot of things. So I think let's move on and move on with an introduction. So I've been talking a lot about all of this, but am I eligible? So yes, to everyone joining for the first time, my name is Mohit Mazumdar. I have completed my PhD in computational biology and have been working with academia and industry to solve important research problems. So in my current role, I'm working with students, faculty, and scientists who have this keen interest to explore biological data. So we are all biologists, maybe here, pharmacists, biologists, clinicians, who are aspiring to be doing something in these fields, getting opportunities, great opportunities in good companies, or having our own research, that sort of thing. So I kind of connect all those people and help them do best with the resources that are available. So in the next few slides, we will be trying to learn about this new technology that I'm talking about and its application. So I'm talking about big data, machine learning, all of that you must be hearing these days. So today, I think the world is seeing that the biomedical data science as a great opportunity to solve some of the unanswered questions that requires immediate attention, such as COVID-19. You saw that what had happened and how the group of scientists, they came up with vaccines in a very short period of time, which was sort of a miracle of a kind. So that happened because we are now getting more and more capable. So let's understand these capabilities and related opportunities. As a new person to this field, all of us are learning, and this is a new field, and we should be able to learn about this and make the maximum use of this. So the biomedical and the healthcare industry is actually evolving rapidly, along with other industries such as space research. You heard about that. However, I mean, this has been only possible because the technology that enabled researchers to generate volumes of data is much easier now. Is much simpler now, and is much more efficient in the manner that it is still an ongoing process, but it is getting much and more efficient. So by learning about the system and integrating data understanding, how data plays a role in biology, it is playing an important and critical role in everywhere. So this is important, and this is an important aspect of this training also. So I'll give you an example. So here in this slide, you are seeing that there are different types of keywords that have been used, such as clinical, such as omics data, such as diagnostics, such as therapeutics, such as biomarkers, and its application, big data, cheminformatics. So see, these are some of the exciting fields. Here, we use different types of biological data to understand deeper knowledge of how human beings are, how diseases are happening, and what are the ways we can solve these problems, right? So this is enabling us, even students, even undergraduate students. So we have a lot of students who are coming from undergraduate high school level, and then they are interested in research. So they are also looking at this as an open mind, as a person who does not know anything but wants to do research and is interested to solve something. So new discoveries are happening because of that, and we have a few publications coming out of those initiatives from students, high school students or undergraduate students. So to have this, kind of powerful technique or understanding of this gives enables a lot of opportunities, such as the one that I described. So there are a lot of keywords that we would be talking about, that we should be learning about when we talk about descriptive understanding of biology, how biology is. And important it is important because what we are using to understand biology at this point of time is like a lot of other things, like statistics. We will use statistics to learn biology, how statistics plays an important role. And that statistics, advanced statistics, is machine learning. And when it comes to an even more advanced stage, when we are talking about automation and automated learning, that is deep learning. So all of this information that we give to these statistical models is coming from the biology, and that biology is getting more and more clearer because of these technologies such as genomics, transcriptomics, protein structures, having an understanding of how our DNA is. Because you must have heard about the Human Genome Project, and if not, the Human Genome Project was something that let us know the number of base pairs that we have. So I think you might know that ATGC are the 4 base pairs that makes the DNA. But in that DNA, there are 3.2 billion base pairs that makes the entire human genome. So having that understanding gave us a lot of a lot of deeper knowledge about how things are. Similarly, transcriptomics is a field where we are learning about the proteins. So how the proteins are behaving at a certain condition, at a certain time. When a person is having a cancer versus a person who is not having a cancer, how their proteins are behaving at that two different stages. That sort of comparison is in today's world is bioinformatics. And that sort of comparison is required for anyone to design any kind of maybe big project or something like that, and also to develop a research thinking. So learning about DNA, protein, cell, tissue, and the entire system is something computational biology is right now. And that involves the how things look, not just how things read. So when we are reading ATGC, that is different. And when we are talking about the structure, then it is how it looks, how it develops from a secondary structure to the tertiary structure to a quaternary structure. And we see these protein complexes also doing different sort of mechanisms. So protein ligand interaction, and then the gene that are involved in those sort of interactions, understanding about the subcellular mechanism. All of this is sort of important in the sense that it helps us to understand more and more about solving many things, because the more we know, the better we are to get a solution to it. So that solution with that understanding is drug discovery. So when we are talking about these so many diseases, and we are talking about so many different genomes that we all have, and we are different from each other little bit or more or less, and that little bit makes a lot of difference. So we will understand about that. So I mean, just to give you a very basic understanding that what is bioinformatics. So bioinformatics is a convergence of biology and data, where both are equally important, as we will see in the next few slides. But who uses bioinformatics? I mean, do statisticians use bioinformatics? Do the computer scientists use bioinformatics, or the engineers use the bioinformatics? I think in a company, when we are talking about pharma companies and all of those companies where this is happening, a group of people works together, and those group of people involve biotechnologists, those group of people involve biologists who wants to talk and who have a deeper understanding of these different areas of research, such as biological research, agriculture, biomedicine, genetics, all of that. So genomics and bioinformatics especially have contributed immensely. For example, in the understanding of infectious diseases. So we in that, what are the different things that we can understand from bioinformatics? In infectious diseases such as COVID-19, such as malaria, such as Ebola. So all of these pandemics or epidemics that has caused by these viruses and small infectious diseases. So we learn about here disease pathogenesis. So how the disease is being pathogenic, has this pathogenetic ability, and what are the mechanisms that helps this viruses to interact with the human host, how the drug resistance happens, so how the host immune system is responding. All of those things are connected with bioinformatics data analysis. So that I'm talking about this data. So it is good to have a better, clear understanding of what this data is. So big data, what makes data a big data? And in biology, than any other field such as businesses and all of that, where you learn about application of data science. You're hearing about application of data science in different fields such as businesses. In biology, the difference is that the size of this data is really very big. It's just immensely big because it has few characteristics that helps us understand, differentiate between different type of data. Is it like a big data or not? So those characteristics are such as volume, variety. So volume is how huge it is. Is it like thousands of genes, millions of nucleotides or proteins? Variety, if the data is unstructured and can be assembled in many ways. So, those are the different variety of data. Then value, what information we get out of the data and what are the error noises and all of that. Veracity, velocity. So these are some of the characteristics of data. And I think what we do in our training sessions is to go deeper in these different aspects. So, sorry, about the genomic data, I mean, how this evolution has happened. And I think all of you deserve that sort of historical perspective. So it has been 70 years since the structure and function of DNA was discovered, right? And then 50 years has been spent since that time, since the Human Genome Project happened that I was talking to you all about. So in 2015, the 10,000 Genome Project happened. So it got there was a lot of genomes that came out for the researchers to analyze. And then by 2018, 100,000 genomes happened. And now it's like, I mean, it's just difficult to even give you a number because it's so many of the genomes and is being getting sequenced every day. So it's like every day we are seeing terabytes of data getting deposited. So this history of genetic research, however, is rather new. It's like 10 to 15 years. We are getting these sort of information that is getting duplicated in terabytes and even exabytes. It's really big. So it started from Sanger Sanger Institute, which happened in 1987, and then expanded for 20 more years. And luckily, I've been there once in the Sanger Institute in the Cambridgeshire EMBL campus, and it's an amazing place to be, full of researchers working on great ideas. So the omics technology, about the different omics technology that we are discussing today, so they are becoming cheaper. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. From the time when Human Genome Project happened, it costed around $3 billion. Just imagine, it's a lot of money. Now it is under $1,000. So it's just crazy, and it's just good in a way that we are getting all that information getting more and more cheaper. So we have different types of data types that are getting generated from these technologies, such as phenomics, which tells us about the phenotypic understanding of the morphological and the different type of there are different characteristics when we talk about phenotypic characteristics. So when you go to a doctor would ask you, what is your age, right? That's a phenotypic information or diagnostic or clinical information. And then we have these different type of genetic information, which is like genomics, epigenomics, transcriptomics that we just discussed. So this influx of data and this billions of genes and proteins and molecules they are compiled in these large files. Okay, so they are compiled in different databases that you can go and explore, and you'll find all those information about different type of organisms, their genes, and find out and have the opportunity to discover something. But I mean, what is the limitation? One of the limitation is the capability to do the big data research. So today we are going to show you that how we are helping as a company to help students and universities and all of the research community to do their big data research using our platforms. So this big data is available in different repositories. I was just telling you that. So these different repositories are such as NCBI, where we have a lot of projects that you can see here. There's a gradual increase in the way data has been getting deposited, and it's just 2006. Just imagine. I mean, I'll have to put a new graph. I think I need to replace this one. So this is like I mean, a lot of information that is getting more and more put together. So there are other repositories such as in NCBI you'll find Geo, SRA, Bioproject. So these are different repositories that we kind of explore in our training sessions, working on different type of ideas, working on with different groups of students who want to explore one sort of area and to find something interesting. So similarly, there are cancer repositories where you will find all the information about the mutations that are there, and there are samples where we are looking at data from different geographies. For example, someone is looking at the data from China, someone is looking at the data from India. So imagine a situation where we have all this information and we can find out personalized way that if I am susceptible to a certain disease, if I'm getting this sort of mutation or not. So that sort of capabilities are coming up and would be the future of this industry. Similarly, for viruses, NVIDIA viruses there. So there's a lot of things that this sort of information can get you to, that is to drugs. This is like the translational part of biology, which can help help understand a deeper meaning to get these results, correct results with lower side effects. So one of the things that we all have seen is with the drugs that it has side effects, right? And the reason is that one drug for all of us, right? We've been prescribed this drug and that is meant for most of the diseases, and we are like having that sort of treatment right now. And the diagnostics and diagnosis is also limited to the ability of the test. So all of that is changing slowly, and it is because of this biology as data science, where we are learning about oncology, infectious diseases, neuroscience, agriculture, and their application in biology, in bioinformatics. So if there are any questions, please write it down in the chat box, and we'll be happy to answer those. And if you have any ideas that you are interested to work with, we'll be happy to listen to those and give you proper guidance. So one of the examples that I wanted to tell you all about in much more depth is precision medicine. Some of you showed interest in precision medicine. So can you tell me what is precision medicine? I'll be happy to see those answers in the chat if you feel like writing that. What do you think about precision medicine? So I'll be waiting for you to give the answer if you feel like. So precision medicine is a emerging approach, right, for disease treatment and prevention that takes into account of individual variability in genes, environment, life cycles for each person, right? So this approach will allow doctors and researchers to predict more accurately what treatment and prevention strategies for a specific disease or a particular disease will work in which group of people. So when we talk about group of people, we talk about in the context of even clinical trials that happens with group of people. So it is in the contrast to one size fits all approach, which just I discussed, that one size fit all approach is like one drug for everyone, right? So this happened because of decades of research. Now we are poised uh, to enter a new era of medical practice where this genetic information is going to be available for the doctors. And this is helpful in such diseases such as cancer, which is one of the leading causes of morbidities and mortalities worldwide. So if you see the Western world, there is a lot of cancer incidences by the color coding here. And then there are, it's getting more and more, prevalent due to the lifestyle and due to pollution and due to multiple factors. And it's still ongoing research at different things that causes cancer. So there are different, it's cancer is a very difficult disease to understand because it's a genetic disease and it happens for different kind of reasons that I was just telling you about. So there are different drivers, molecular drivers in cells and tissues that people have identified, researchers have identified over the years that helps us to understand better about these sort of, diseases, difficult diseases to understand that causes so much human death and loss. So, what you see, I mean, in this aspect of understanding about a specific disease context for biomedical data, just imagine that for a doctor right now, the doctor is only seeing the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is the clinical data. And I told you about like different types of clinical data. What are those clinical data types? So in below, when you see that all this information that can be give you a holistic understanding of a particular person or a particular disease type or at a particular stage is this sort of information where you have the understanding of all these other type of data types and how they affect a particular body or in fact in healthcare system. So in this type of research, what we are looking at is like we are looking at different type of these data types and their associations, and then we are analyzing these data sets to understand the biology that is behind this. And for example, we understand the microbiome composition. So I'll tell you a little bit about those as well. But let me now just move to the side to this slide where we will be discussing about what biomarkers are and why they are important. So there exists an urgent need to identify new biomarkers or signatures for early detection and prognosis. So I was telling you about this before that not only just for treatment, but before treatment, diagnosis. So having a good diagnosis is very important for disease treatment, right? And having a detection system very strong will help us save many lives. So cancer is a disease that is also related to aging. So that sort of diagnosis can help older people to survive with this sort of technology. And to learn about this technology, what researchers are doing is that they're doing experiments. They're doing experiments on mouse where they are implanting this cancer tissue and learning about the progression and learning about how they can cure it. So there is a lot of data which is available on cell lines where they are testing on the cells, and then they are testing on animal models, and then there are clinical trials. So this sort of information is actually helping researchers to do and reach this future of medicine. So this future of medicine is about getting information of different stages, very personalized information, and then use these different type of multi-omics data integration tools. So, and then use deep learning and machine learning to come up with those personalized answers to these difficult challenges that biology poses to us. So in our training that we do all over the year with universities where we do research programs, so we go from these various aspects about learning about different type of technologies and application of bioinformatics in different type of research areas, such as infectious diseases. And I already told you about how bioinformatics can be used to learn more and more about these difficult infectious diseases that are also causes so much of havoc, such as COVID-19. So in COVID-19, by passing through the layers of immune defenses and hijacking host cell machinery to replicate, these microorganisms wreak havoc. So seemingly just to replicate, to learn about these strategies, tools, and tactics, we can study the sequences of genomic code that enabled by we can study the sequences, right, of these viruses that helps us understand the genomic code enabled by easy, accessible, and highly accurate next generation sequencing technology. So you have to read the virus's code, and you need NGS technologies to do that. So once you have that information, and those codes are available online on public repositories. So also Indian consortium, IGIB, many are involved in depositing this sort of data, and they are also available online for you to do analysis. What you need is a platform where you can do this sort of analysis and learn how to do this analysis. So this sort of technology, such as metagenomics, it is about understanding microorganisms. So many of you might be are from microbiology background, right? Or you're learning about different type of microorganisms. So this technology helps us learn about these microorganisms in their natural environment. So when you do that, then you're learning about community and their structures, exploring species richness in a specific, microbiota. For example, in soil, you're looking at different type of species richness, and then you're investigating about these microbial communities, how they play their role in human health and disease. When we are talking about gut microbiota, so when we are talking about our gut and the samples that are taken from there, we see that how many bacteria and what kind of different bacteria are there, and which of them have what role, because they are also affecting our health, not only our health, but everywhere. So there is also a gut brain analysis. So how the gut is affecting the brain and how it affects even the behavioral aspect of living beings. So so all of those research are really fascinating. Just wanted to give you an overview in today's session. So to learn about all of this biotechnology and bioinformatics is used, and different types of analysis is used, such as one of the area of research which I wanted to give you an overview of is the space omics area. So space omics is dedicated to the study of omics data to study molecular mechanisms that are affected by space travel. So when you go to the space, and then you have things happening in a different way because of the conditions, because it's like very, very different conditions from the Earth, right? So how it affects the astronaut's health. And then more about space omics is that astrobiology is the field that helps us to learn about, addresses these sort of challenges in throughout the universe, how life has changed, how its evolution is playing a role, and how this sort of data types helps us understand from samples. Metagenomics data type or genomic data type can help us combat these difficult conditions, extreme conditions in space flight, and develop techniques and countermeasures to help these astronauts genetically, so that they are more combat for those challenges. Learning about the radiation, microgravity, altered gas composition, diet changes, all of that. So NASA is doing a lot of research, and NASA is also depositing a lot of data on this. So in today's session, what we discussed a lot, and I think it might have been overwhelming for many. So please let me know how do you like the session, and what do you think about the session, and what all of the things that we learned today. So what we are trying to discuss today actually was the application and the research problems of 21st century. So what is going on and what are the different areas where this is applied and the kind of research, all of that, and where we are. So what we are trying to do here is that we are trying to collaborate with universities for research training and research internships and research based learning. So which utilizes the Learn Omics Logic platform where we did all the login before, and I'll quickly take you back to that, and I'll pass it on to Sonalika for giving you another opportunity to make the login, because it's free and many of the courses are also free. And then we have the mentor sessions where it is very nominal sort of fees there for a 1 month or 2 month training for you to go through this different type of research areas based on your interest, and then develop a research project. So this entire process takes 3 to 6 months, where we do this sort of training in collaboration with university. And if you're interested, you can reach out to Dr. Renuka for this sort of collaboration to do this training that we can enable you to go through the basic of bioinformatics or the basic of data science, basic of R and Python, or then application of then these technologies to precision medicine, population health, biotechnology and agriculture, space and astrobiology. So we are working on different areas of research that you can also participate in collaboration. So if you have any confusion in any of these areas, you are free. You can feel free to reach out to us. So please, Ojasvi and Navya and Sonalika can share the reach out emails. And to understand and bridge this gap of the biomedical industry, we are trying to bring this sort of technology to the university, to the students and faculty, so that we can collaboratively work together on different areas of research with students, with others, all community that we have from all around the world, and develop, solve problems. So different areas of opportunities. So one of the last aspect of this presentation, as we are coming towards the end, is to talk about the opportunities. So the opportunities are a lot. So we have, as I told you, that we have a team here, all from Chandigarh, who are working with us in Pine Biotech. And similarly, there is industry, other industries. A lot of them are coming up in India as startups. There's a lot of startups. And then there is research. This sort of research is really now in demand everywhere around the world. So this research, if you have an understanding of this research, you get a lot of opportunities for a master's program, for a PhD program, or for an undergraduate program here in India, or more in abroad also. There's a lot of opportunities there. And hospitals are requiring data analysts because they are also generating this data, but they don't know much about it, and they don't know how to best utilize it. So a person who is trained in this is kind of in demand in pharma industry as well. So these are some of the opportunities that are related to this big data in biology. And as I said, that I would now pass it on to Ms. Sonalika to again show you the T-Bioinfo server, where we have the curated pipelines. And if Dr. Harpreet is available, that would be great if Dr. Harpreet can show us the T-Bioinfo platform, where we are doing all this analysis of data, and we have the courses and all the projects that you can learn from the Learn Omics Logic. So we have two websites or portals, one portal, another platform. So one is Learn Omics Logic, another is the T-Bioinfo platform that Sonalika will quickly show us, and then we will wrap up this webinar and meet you again soon. Thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm here. Please feel free to ask me.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have a question by Sandhya Jaiswal. She's asking, how can I apply bioinformatics in formulation development?
Okay, let me read that out. A form of medicine that uses information or purgeons and prevent treatment versus. So is this a question she's asking? She's answering, and she's quite right in that answer. Is this what you're reading, Sonalika?
No, sir. This was the definition of precision medicine that you asked for that Sonia has replied to. We have a question
Okay.
like ahead in the chat. She's asking, how can I apply bioinfo in formulation development? Maybe Sandhya, it would be nice if you could unmute yourself and shed some more light on what exactly you would like to ask. So,
Or you
Rishu,
can write it in the chat. Yeah.
yes,
So I
it
think
would
there is a
be.
question about NCBI, and I think if Dr. Harpreet is going to share, then she can also show them.
Right. So I would just like to quickly invite Dr. Renuka. So first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Mohit, for such a wonderful talk on big data and its impact on bioinformatics. So today we learned a lot about big data, bioinformatics, and its role in changing the course of research. For those students who are interested to learn more about the different fields and to get hands-on practice on Omics Logic Learn portal, or are interested to join the research fellowship program, as Dr. Mohit has already told, that you can connect with Dr. Renuka Sharma, who is an assistant professor of virology in Department of Research, Chandigarh Group of Colleges, Mohali, India. And Dr. Renuka represents the RISE department in CGC. And now I would like to pass on the stage to Dr. Renuka. And then I would like to take you all through the server quickly and help you out learn more ahead. Over to you, Dr. Renuka.
Thank you, Sonalika. And thank you, Mohit, for the nice session. Hope our students get so many points in bioinformatics. I request all of you students, you can connect me if you want to do any internships, any trainings you can do in like you have 10 to 15 days trainings, 3 to 6 month trainings. You can connect me and Mohit and Sonalika. You can go for your short-term projects, long-term projects with them. You can like choose with different prospects as per your interest, like in agriculture, in healthcare, in diagnostic, anyone you can choose from. Thank you, Sonalika.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So as Dr. Mohit has asked that it would be great if we could go through the T-Bio-Info server. So this is the server which we were talking about, where we have tried to integrate a lot of libraries and toolkits which could be used to run various analysis and then get the results, and through the Omics Logic Learn courses, you would be able to get the understanding of how those results have to be interpreted and made sense for a research. So we have a lot of demo pipelines, which any one of you could just go through and learn how these pipelines actually work. So I'll quickly just take you all through one demo pipeline so that you get an understanding of what we were talking about, and then go ahead with your learning. So this is a pipeline where you have different sorts of toolkits, and you just have to upload your data. And as this is a demo pipeline, we already have the data uploaded here on the pipeline. All you have to do is just choose the toolkits that you have to run. So we would just start the pipeline. The data is already uploaded. And then the next toolkit that has to be used would be highlighted. So the next one that comes out to be is Trimomatic. I would actually like to invite Dr. Harpreet, who is our mentor, because she would be able to explain this all to you in a very much greater detail and advance. Dr. Harpreet, can you unmute yourself, and I'll just go through this, and I would like you to explain these things in a much greater detail to the students. Dr.
Okay.
Harpreet.
Thank you, Sonalika. Thank you, Dr.
Ma'am,
Mohit.
would you like to share your screen, or is it okay on my screen?
I can share my screen. Just give me a minute.
Yes, ma'am, sure. And meanwhile, you all can just post in the questions you would like to ask in the chat box, and we would be happy to answer.
Okay, so everyone, my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible. Ma'am, it would be very nice if you could just briefly introduce yourself as well.
Okay, just give me a second. Hello everyone, my name is Harpreet Kaur and I have a PhD in bioinformatics. Currently, I'm curriculum developer and research consultant with Pine Biotech, where I'm assisting research fellows in their designing of their research project and the analysis part. Besides, I am working on different research projects with uh, other research teams across the world. Okay, so now let me show you like how this particular platform that Sonalika was talking about, that is cBioInfo Server, and why we need to use this kind of tool. So the major point, whenever you're dealing with NGS data, particularly genomics data, so it's like it's in a mega terabyte. So you cannot handle such kind of data on your own system. Eventually, even if you look at a single file, it's like a 10 GB. So if you have, for example, 100 samples, so you would have like nearly 1 TB data. So obviously you cannot directly handle that data. You cannot process that data. Other way, many a times, many of you are not be the bioinformatician who can do the programming. Because to handle such data and to analyze such data, either you need a programming skill. So to tackle both of these issues, so that if you do not have the space on your own system to analyze such data, another way, if you either you don't have skills like where you can analyze such kind of genomics data, so this platform is very helpful. So let me take you one example. For example, here where I'm going through one of pipeline, that is PDX project. So this PDX project is patient-derived xenograft for breast cancer. So where we have two types of breast cancer subtypes, one is ER positive, other one is triple negative. So how to process such kind of data, and here this particular platform will offer you facility where you can process this data just by clicking on options. So let me show you how we can do that. So here, because this is already example project pipeline, so we have already uploaded the data here. So you need not to upload the data by clicking on start. So you will direct it to, for example, this kind of pop-up will come. So where you can see your input file. So where we have already provided reference genome, as well as we have provided this SQL link. So links to our input file. So then by clicking on OK, you just able to submit this data. Then your number of options will get automatically highlighted. For example, when you have already uploaded your raw sequencing data, the next step is pre-processing. So under the pre-processing, here the first step which is getting highlighted, that is Streamomatic. So what this Streamomatic module will do, that it will remove adapters from your raw sequencing read. When we prepare or we do the library preparation before running the RNA-seq, so we actually align adapters to 5' and 3' ends of the read to make them stable. So here this Streamomatic algorithm, what it does, it will remove all the adapters or any non-technical or any technical sequences. Then next option which is getting highlighted, that is PCR clean. So what this PCR clean will do, that it will remove any of PCR duplicates from your data. So once your reads get clean, the next is how you are going to align your reads against reference genome. So there are, if the next options which are getting highlighted, if you look at those options which are actually they are mapping on genome. So here the option Botide2G, HiSET, and Botide2T. So these are the different mapping algorithms. To understand those algorithms, you need to go through of course, the courses, which algorithm we should use. And here, because here our goal is to generate simple gene expression table from raw sequencing data. So I'm using Botide2T. So it will align your reads on the reference genome. And then once your reads get aligned, next, how you are going to quantify your gene expression. So to generate, here you will find under the expression label. So these are the number of quantification algorithm. Right now, the option which is getting highlighted in this example pipeline, that is RSEM RACM expression table. So here this particular module is using RACM algorithm. And the RACM algorithm is RNA-seq using expectation maximization algorithm that will eventually quantify how many reads are getting aligned against a particular gene. So it is quantifying it. And then here you will find under the differential gene expression algorithm as well, like EDGAR, CutDiff and DSEQ2. But I'm skipping this step because here my simplest goal is to generate a gene expression table data from raw sequencing data. So I'm skipping this step. So by clicking on the end, we will able to complete our pipeline. So since this is already example pipeline which has previously already run, and then we uploaded that pipeline, so obviously your steps complete immediately. When you doing this analysis on your original data, at that point of time it will take like sometimes 24 hours depending upon how many samples you have, because processing and mapping, it takes a lot of time. And then here under the download pipeline output, so what are the different types of output that you will obtain after running this simple RNA-seq pipeline? So for example, here you will get the mapping stats. Now just give me a second. So here you will get like overall alignment rate. So like here in this example, it's like 86% reads are correctly aligned on a reference, So you have overall alignment nearly 86%. 86% for most of samples, but some of the samples is like 77.3. So then we have another output. For example, you will find that this is FPKM data. No, you need to go through transcriptomic course to understand what are FPKM values, what are the read count values, what are the RPKM values. But here you would have a simple gene expression table. It will take a bit time. Okay. So now you have simple gene expression table. If you look at this gene expression in the first column, here or in the rows, we have genes. So these are the ensemble IDs for the different genes. And in the columns, we have samples. So now this kind of table is very easy to analyze. Even if you want to do any analysis, for example, some exploratory data analysis or something like that. So this is the simplest table that you can use. And this is not a very large size. Even it is like, if you look at, it's like very few KB size. So eventually you can analyze such kind of data while running these pipelines. Then you have also isoforms. If you are interested to analyze, to understand isoforms, so you will get all the your output here in this after running this pipeline. So this is what this tool doing. Then apart from that, if you look at this particular interface on server, so you would have number of modules for different types of data. For example, right now I was just showing you transcriptomics data analysis, RNA-seq. Then if you are interested in, for example, genomics data, you want to understand the mutational analysis, what are the mutations taking place, for example, cancer or normal or any other disease condition. So under the genomics section, you will find pipelines for that. If you are interested to implement data mining, particularly various machine learning techniques, so you will find this dedicated section that is data mining. For example, here you will find pipelines for supervised machine learning analysis, unsupervised machine learning analysis, differential gene expression analysis. And then in the utility, you understand how to normalize your data and how you can do various types of analysis. Similarly, if you are interested in the virology, particularly I was looking at, many of you are interested in infectious disease. So you will find this dedicated section on the viruses where you can do different types of analysis. Then if you are interested in oncology, so you can do number of analysis under the cancer biology section. So similarly, you will find different algorithms. So that's it that I want to show you. Now I would like pass this session back to Ms. Sonalika. So over to you, Sonalika.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harpreet, for giving such a wonderful insight of the server. I knew you would be the best trainer actually to guide about this. So I wanted you to speak and you made full justice to it. Thank you so much. So Dr. Renuka, I think that was all that that we wanted to share from our side. And I just wanted to thank all the students who joined today and learned more about the big data role. So we would be looking forward to your participation, and we would shortly be discussing how we could move ahead with Dr. Renuka. So thank you so much, Dr. Renuka, and thank you so much to all the participants. I would like to pass it on to Dr. Renuka now. Over to you, ma'am. Okay, so I feel ma'am is not here. So thank you, everyone. I would be now ending the meeting, and it was nice to meet you all today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye.